Ju-Lyn. Thanks
Hello.
for agreeing to be in our Zine Makers interview session. So
Sure.
would you mind
Thanks
just,
for having me.
do a short introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ju-Lyn, and then I have, I guess, this zine that I've been doing since 2016. It's called Notions, and it's been 4 years and 3 issues so far. I have them here. And as you can tell, that it's actually quite a low budget, low fi zine that it's just printed on it can be printed on a desktop printer, and it's a compilation zine. So basically there's like an open call and then people submit, and yeah, so this is one of the things I do.
Okay. Yeah, so can you maybe just share with us what was the motivation behind Notion and how did it came about?
Yeah, so Notions, right, started off, the concept of Notions is basically that, it's about a celebration of ideas lah. And therefore, like as I mentioned, it is a compilation zine, which then there's an open call that I just ask people to submit an A4 artwork, and I describe that it's basically going to be, photocopy. It's going to be produced in black and white in like, and it's given away for free. And yeah, so I guess the idea came from something like an artist sketchbook kind of thing. Like we just like we just share pages from a creative journal and so on, and that people can just share their ideas. How it came about was like, me and my some artist creative friends, right? Then we always have some ideas to create artworks or a project or something, and then it doesn't really happen because of like resource limitation, time and all that. And then I think I just felt like it's such a waste because it's a good idea, right? And maybe some of these ideas or doesn't have to be realized in its entirety all the time, and it can just be put down on a page. And so the premise for the zine is essentially that, like, to just celebrate that this idea took place in the first place. And because these ideas, like, there's a saying that, like, if I have one idea and you have one idea and then we exchange it, we will have 2 ideas each. It's not like a tangible thing, like if I have 1 apple and you have 1 apple and then we exchange it, then we will each still have 1 apple.
So this is your own independent initiative?
Yeah, it started like this and it was conceived like this. I think also because prior to this, prior to being more involved in visual arts, I was also a bookmaker, like in self-publisher. So this is a book I printed in 2018, I think. Yeah, end of 2008. And it is 2008, and it is actually a collection of short stories and poems lah. So I did this also as an indie project, like self-published. I learned how to use InDesign and GIMP, which is the free open source version lah of InDesign. And then that was like in 2008. And then I also have some other self-published projects. I guess, in the back of my head, I always wanted to do a zine, wanted to do a magazine, that kind of idea. Yeah, so when I had the idea to do Notions, it's pretty natural extension lah, to just do it. And like I mentioned, the open call, I just call for like A4 artwork, because I also know that I'm actually not a graphic designer who can go and lay out nicely, and like I also don't want to spend that time, to be honest, to adjust the color and and do that. So in the open call, it is also sort of like asking the people who contribute, like, you please send it to me in a way that I can reproduce it. Yeah. So it is an independent project, but it is also reliant on a lot of different submissions. So like this is a submission of lyrics, so this person would have sent it to me like this. And then if you notice, right, like there is actually, wait, let me find a page that's obvious. So you see this is also an artwork, right? So there's actually a white color border on every page, right? But this is also typical of desktop printers. Like our desktop printers, when you're printing the whole photo lah, there will be a white border, right? So this would be mentioned in the submission guidelines. Yeah, like that. You've got to know that there's going to be a white border. So like, if you want to include things like your artist, whatever details that, if you want to do that, first of all, you should just include it in your design. That's one thing. And then two, like, make sure you don't mind the sides being cropped lah. Yeah, so these are actually like worked into the whole submission guidelines to make things easy for me, because it's an indie project, right? I don't have like a lot of design background as well. So and the whole idea of it is basically just sharing ideas lah. So don't need to be so cumbersome to.
So how do you just to go back a bit to your book? So how do you find that is the difference between your self-publishing a book and going into this zine, which is a more free flow of thing?
I think that like a book, right, kind of does feel a bit more permanent. Like feel like it's meant to. To me, I think there are a lot of different definitions of zines, where this could also be interpreted as a zine, because I think there's only about 300 copies. I don't know, I don't forget. But yeah, like, to some people, this is essentially a zine, but in my own definition of what Notions was meant to be, it doesn't look like it's something that's going to last forever, right? Like, in a way, it's a newspaper-ish kind of way, a bit more transient, a bit more casual.
Yeah, because this one is, on your website, so anybody can print it and just distribute it, right? But your book is a printer per se.
Yes, exactly. So it comes back to the concept of Notions, you see. And the concept of Notions is really just sharing ideas, you see. So that's why it is like available for free, and you can just download it, and then you can print it on your home printer. So essentially, you fold it into two, and then you put a rubber band on. Then it is a zine. So it's just very, down to its very basic idea, you see. And in that, the copies I have now, right, are stapled, because I will go and print like maybe 200-300 copies at the photocopying shop, at a tea center. And that's when I found out, like, the ladies there told me that, you want me to staple for you or not? Then I'm like, huh, you mean can staple one? Then they're like, yeah, machine can staple. Then I'm like, how much? Then they'll be like, for free. Then I'm like, huh, okay, then you staple for me. Because I think I printed some versions without it being stapled. And then it's hard to find actually good rubber band nowadays. And then I also had a lot of paper cuts, like after folding a lot. So if the machine can just do it, it's free of charge, right? That's why I have the versions that are actually stapled lah. They're actually saddle stitch stapled. Now, however, because the design is such that it doesn't have to rely on a staple, which you actually can do using a stapler and also a rubber eraser. You can still do it at home lah. So it's designed in a way that you can actually just fold and then use a rubber band. So in that way, the design itself is liberating. I have contributors, like say for this is Notions 3, and the theme for this one is where are you going and where have you been? Can you see?
Yes,
Yeah.
can see.
So because of the theme, and also, you know, conceptually, it kind of makes sense. Like it's also like I just threw the open call on some international website, and then I did collect quite a lot. I mean, receive quite a lot of submissions from overseas as well, right? And the people could actually just print it wherever they are, and you know, and therefore share it with their friends lah. Yeah, so in that way, it is very liberating, isn't it? Like, I mean, I didn't have to ship any copies to them physically, and it ties in again back with the concept of notions, like just sharing an idea. And yeah, because it is also pretty cheap, like $1 per copy. So, and you know, about $1. And so I mean, I keep it within my means lah. So it is designed in that way that $1 is not too bad to just give away, right? And that's what I do. That's what you know, people help me do, you know. And then we'll just leave copies around, and it ties in back to the idea of just sharing ideas for the sake of sharing ideas. And it's really a bit romantic in the sense, like a message in a bottle kind of thing. Like you just toss it, you know, out into the sea, and then you don't know who's going to read it. Yeah, and when you know, it's Notion and its supporter is very grateful for like friends who are supporting Notions, in the sense that, you know, people bring it along on their travels back when we can travel lah. And then and really just leave it here and there, you know, like at the library or like at museums, you know. I mean, I guess we go to the same places, right? Like those museums, or like bookshop got free shelf, or like even have a cafe, you know, or this and that, or like you see this line here, right? Notions for interesting people. So it's the catch line lah. What is it? The byline or whatever it's called, right? It's like Notions is by interesting people for interesting people, you see?
The clickbait.
So yeah, right. The bait lah, okay? So it's like, hey, you know, here's a copy for you because I think you're an interesting person, you know? So it's like, hey, it's a compliment as well, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what it's celebrating, you know, the sharing of ideas. And the people who have submitted to Notions are really generous also to share their ideas. And you know, it's only right to also then share these ideas as well with other people. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's
okay.
essentially, yeah, what it's about for me.
So we understand that you have different themes, right, for each.
Yes, so yeah, so there are different themes. The first one is food for thought. So this is the very first issue, and how this idea food for thought came about is essentially what it is lah, right? Notions just food for thought. And yeah, like how it works is like the open call is actually online, and maybe I can show you how the open call looks like, because I still have it on. So you see, this is actually for Notions 1, right? So because it's updated backwards, so bear with me as I scroll all the way down. Yeah, so this is how it looks like when there was an open call. You know, so this is basically what Notions is about. When is the deadline? And there is like a mood board kind of thing to.
Why do you create this mood board? Is it like a guideline or?
Just some ideas, I think, to just get people going to think about like what might be relate, like, you know, some prompts lah for ideas, or yeah.
So before that, before you start the theme, you would have already like have a rough idea of what you want, and then
No, because the theme is food for thought, ma. So like it's not really what I want lah, because you know it's like pop culture, and it could be anything like what I think this mood board is basically some of different
but people can like
directions.
jump
Correct,
ideas
correct.
from them as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like different directions of how to interpret so-called food for thought. And you know, like it can be very classical, like classical Chinese painting, like this is actually a banquet, or you can be Ai Weiwei's like Coca-Cola, or it could be like you know, I mean, this Georgia Chen drawing some lychee, or it could be like Gordon Ramsay cracking a joke, you know, a rude joke or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, it's just some random ideas that collected, or some of my influences. Like okay, let's see issue. You can still see, right?
Yeah, we are looking at the screen.
Yeah. So issue 2, actually the theme, right, is water you thinking about. Water you thinking it's about water long.
Water you're thinking about.
Yeah, so
That's interesting.
water. Yeah. So, like,
is that a pun or something, or?
Yes, exactly. Because the first issue is food, then the second issue is water. Like there's that kind of link like that. Then so you know, put out an open call link to the website where like these details are out, and then this is the theme. Then similarly, I'll just put on some stuff that also reviews my generation, listening to TLC's Waterfall. And yeah, like, so this is the cat one is the meme, the what are you doing kind of thing. Yeah, and then you know, water lilies by Monet. You can be classical, you can talk about like water dinosaurs and all that. So yeah, I don't know whether anybody actually, you know, uses the mood board, but it's actually just fun to
Yeah,
put
but
it together.
it seems like you're curating a lot of content actually.
I mean, it's just like, I think maybe I just, yeah, I don't know, I just come up with this mood board for fun, to be honest. I don't think too much about it. I just put some music that I like, some ideas or some paintings that I like. Waterloo Sunset is also like a song I listened to a lot when I was younger, you know. And yeah, like it's just for fun like just so an excuse to just make things for fun. And then the next issue is this open call to the theme being where you're going, where have you been. So because Notions 2 was about water, so there were also a few submissions. Later I can show you. Like it's more about the boat like that. So that's also relevant to what I was thinking about during this period of time lah. Where are you going? Where have you been? Because quite a lot of my, I mean, I also on the site also created a few series. I mean, not a few series. Quite a few artworks from different media based on this theme. Because basically, I guess you can say that was my research interest. Maybe it's still my research interest. It's existential question. What am I doing with my life? So I think I'm also curious about what everybody is thinking about doing with their lives. So just putting it out there. But I think by the time it comes to this third issue, the zine has sort of can be how to say it? It's moved on to a phase where maybe it can also express its own. It can also like the first issue, Food for Thought, is very much based on notion of notion, the idea of notions itself, right? Then the second one became a bit like started moving away, and then the third one I felt like maybe it can also pose a question already. Maybe that's the way to put it. Yeah, so in a way also that was my research question at that time lah. And also the idea that notions, it just really goes around the world in a very low-key way. Like there's just 200 copies lah, but it's really, I don't know where is it, it's in Europe, in US or what, like maybe there's just one copy there lah, but anyway it gives me a kick, and I give my friends who contributed a kick out of it lah. like we meet somebody on the streets and we have a nice conversation, and you just give it to them, and then, oh, you're from US, okay, take it and go. And then so like so suddenly these ideas that were in our head are now in other people's head from across the world. And in that sense, this mood board is also about, like, you see, I mean, Murakami is from Japan, and Forrest Gump we all know. I mean, our influences are also not local, right? Yeah, not all local. But I do purposely include a few local lah. So this is Ling Ting, if you remember, a sculptor in Singapore I like. Yeah, and from our childhood and so on. So the Wanderer, I think a lot of us will know this. Yeah. So this is Notions tree, and let me just finish showing you how basically it works, right? Like, so there will be an open call, and then they will submit, and there's a link to the guide, the submission guide. This is basically a lot of admin information, because I think as creatives ourselves, we also submit to a lot of open calls. So basically I just I got no time to reply to questions anyway. So I mean, we just put in everything. It's like FAQ law, like what to do, what can you submit, collage, you can submit anything, English, then like some preferences. I guess this would be like the curatorial direction, now we call it, but back then it was just like me calling it my preference. So important things to me is like, I mean, yeah, so I relate across multi-disciplines. That's what I find interesting. Multiple cultures, like universal ideas. So basically, the collaboration. I mean, obviously, it's something that I'm interested in. That's why there's Notions in the first place, right? Because it's very collaborative. It's a new and fresh work rather than like, the same work, that the only work you have done. But I guess that's also okay. I wouldn't really know. Okay. It's not racist or or about any real hate shit, because life is too short. So it's not really censored, but it's just that like there's a lot of space in between all these things, right, which we can talk about. And I don't want to deal with any hate stuff. Yeah, so I think people who want to do that. So I don't feel like if people who want to be racist or what, like you can do it, but not with Notions lah. Okay, like you can do it in your own space. Yeah, so I already tell you lah. Like so like proofreading and editing, like I also tell you I'm not going to proofread. If you got a spelling error, then that's your thing. Yeah, so like I mean, the files preferred, I don't think people actually read through this, but anyway, it's there lah. Then attributions, if you want to put your name in there, then I just put it there. And then all the question, that I have, the deadline varies. Basically, when I'm telling you, I'll do it when I feel like it lah. Basically, like file naming convention entry form, which people don't really fill out all the time. But like the entry form actually has like requirements, like for instance your email address Actually, no, email address I'll definitely get because they will email the artworks to me, right? But like your Instagram or your website, so that when I release it, then I can tag you. So if you provide it to me, then I'll tag you. If not, then thanks. Yeah. Then,
So do you feel that it's like a lot of work?
It is work, actually. Yeah, it is. I think organizing anything, right? Coordinating anything, right, is quite a lot of work. And maybe that brings me to the story of Notions tree. Yeah, so Notions tree is special and interesting to me because unlike the rest which were kind of produced within the year, so like Notions tree, the deadline is like this, right? But it only came out in 2019, like 1 year later, like a very long time later. Like, yeah. So basically, in a way, it is delayed. And to be honest, like, I think there were a lot of different reasons for why it was delayed, because like, actually I already produced a version of it in 2018, but I just felt that it wasn't quite right. It didn't really hit something, so I didn't release it, and then it just sits on my to-do list for like over more than 1 year. Yeah, and I just didn't have it in me to do it again until late last year, yeah, and then I finally put it together. I'm going to, yeah, so these are the contributors. So for Notions tree, this is how it looks like. I guess, like, it's not very sophisticated in design, as you can tell. It's just like the borders are set, and then I'll just pour in things, and then so the works that come in, they could be in like A4 format, or like this is like actually an A4 format, and then you just put in the graphic lah. Yeah, and so actually it could be bleed all the way to the end. It's just that when it's printed out, then it's a bit cut down. Yeah, so submissions can be colored, but it's just that it's produced in non-color. So that's why I want to show you in design how it looks like. And some decisions that I have to make is in terms of layout, because they may not submit exactly in terms of like A4, right? So this is a watercolor in Abu Dhabi, from Singaporean in Abu Dhabi. I think is it Abu Dhabi or Dubai, or anyway, UAE. And I think this submission is from Poland. This submission is from Cuba. It's actually screenshots from a video project. Yeah, can you see? And zoom in, right? How to zoom in? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So all the more, like, in terms of, when I go back to the theme being the research project, right? Like asking people, where have you been, where are you going? Then these are really like people everywhere asking the same question, to be honest. And so is it like, you see, if I scroll back up and take a look at how I can't get it to fit properly, but anyways, how these few submissions, right? How these few submissions kind of relate to each other. Like, there's also that figure of the back view. You realize that, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And these are people from everywhere. And if you remember just now, I was showing the mood board, right? Then there is the Caspar David Frederick painting Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog. There's this back view thing, then, and I think that's what's interesting to me, and also consoling. Like, yeah, like, people asking the same questions about what to do with ourselves, I guess. And so, I think when I'm arranging the works, it's not at random. There's actually really a kind of connection between each work, if you can see it visually, right? Like, for instance, there's a lot of line work here, and then there's also this kind of similar line work here, and there's that profile shot, that profile crop. And then, like this kind, if I'm not wrong, this is like a sort of touch of maybe a walkway or something. And then there's the kind of textural quality here that I sort of connected in maybe a materiality, modernist texture guru kind of thing. Yeah. So, that kind of stretching movements between this one and the one before, you see. And then that kind of dreamy connections within the balloons, and then with this one, the idea of flight. Again here, this submission, if I'm not wrong, is from France. And then it's a poem. It's got to do with the clouds and everything. And it gets a bit surrealist. And then, yeah, this is actually my own artwork that I produced in 2018. Yeah, 2018, when the zine was originally supposed to come out. So it was supposed to sort of like come out around the same time. But anyways, ironically, if it did, maybe I wouldn't have been able to include this artwork. So I don't know. And then, yeah, so this is the submission from a friend of mine, actually. Yeah. Then, yeah. So, in a sense, I really do enjoy thinking about the artwork, that comes in. And but thinking about artwork is effort lah, and also connecting. I'm going to scroll back up now while I'm talking. Connecting artworks to each other. I had a conversation with a friend before when I was talking about previous issue, and I was like just being in my geeky mode to like share about how I just shared with you guys, right? Like how each artwork connects with another, at least the kind of connections that I've made. And then the feedback that I got from her was like, like if I didn't tell her all this, she would not know. So the audience might not know. Then my reaction is, if they don't know, then they don't know, but I know ma. Like I know lah, and I just do it out of for fun, out of respect for the artworks, and I give them some considerations. And I think a lot of for this issue, I'm actually really fortunate to have received more submissions than I could fit in, because of flow, actually. Like maybe it was unable to connect, or yeah, it could be because of that or some other reasons lah, like maybe it's got some content that just doesn't fit within what Notions is about. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of work, or yeah, that's the type of things that I do lor. But I think before I actually put it in soft copy, like I actually do print out the works, and I actually lay out on the floor or whatever to just see how they physically look like with each other.
So when they submit to you in color, they would know that it's going to be in black and white.
Yeah, that's where the submission. Yeah, that's where the submission guidelines come in.
But they will still like give you the color image.
Yeah. Like okay. Like, I mean, maybe the image that they have is colored. I don't know. Yeah, but it's okay. Like, yeah, that's how it is, I guess. You know, some people do give me black and white. Like these two artists, they give it to me as it is lah. I do a bit of liaising sometimes, like or like I decide whether I should crop it within the bleed or not, or something like that. Yeah, so no hard and fast rule lah. So in that sense, because I can decide what to do, right? Then I decide what to do.
Yeah, you
Like,
have more freedom, more freedom.
Yeah, in that sense, right? Yeah, in the sense of freedom, like that's why indie project, I feel the draw of an indie project to me lah. Yeah, like, and why you know, I keep this project in a low-fi, low cost budget, and as it is I mean, I don't have like boss to answer to, sponsors, or like, you know, sponsors daughter want to put in an artwork, something like that. I don't know if that happens lah, but anyway, so I don't have to worry about things like that. And like I just decide lah. And of course I have to own that responsibility of deciding. But then again, it's just a casual zine, right? Like, don't so serious lah. Yeah, so you know, there's two sides to it, I guess. Yeah, like in terms of that, but definitely I enjoy the freedom of doing it. Is it 100% freedom? I don't know. You know, it's about I think creating within our own means. Like, you know, in a way, living within our own means, right? But I don't want to get too philosophical about that lah. You know, like spending what you have. This kind of discussion at this point. Yeah, this issue was delayed for over a year, right? So also related to the issue of freedom. In terms of freedom and responsibility, there's also the deadline and all that. So in a way, because I already collected this artwork, right? Then it's like, wow, I'm responsible. I know I need to produce this issue, right? I'm responsible to the people who have made this submission, and I therefore have to put it out there because they submitted their work to me, in a way, also on the understanding and condition that I'm going to put it in the zine and then I'm going to share it to the world, right? So in terms of freedom in that sense, then it's like it's a commitment lah. Yeah, that we made. Then therefore, I try to own it lah. But so that being said, I'm super grateful and actually very humbled by the fact that it's been delayed for 1 year, and then after that I did it, and then I emailed to people and say like, hey, I finally did it. You know, sorry, but it's here. And then they are just like, hey, thanks, good that you finally did it. And like, yeah. Then I'm like, yeah, I mean, true, right? Like, better late than never, right? So that becomes like I mean, something that I learned as well for myself. Yeah, that, you know, yeah. But I mean, this is not, this Notions is just a very humble little zine, right? That you know, just printed out on a photocopying machine and all that. Yeah. So, you know, that people actually bother to make the submission and all. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy putting it together. So every time I do it, like, you know, if there's a phase, like, I would be like, yeah, you know, I just feel like doing it again, and I'll do it. And then when the submission comes in, then you'll feel a bit like, oh yeah, a lot of things to do. But then when I'm done with it and then I put it out there, then it kind of always reminds me that, yeah, you know, sometimes don't need to think so much. Yeah, so that's very rewarding about Notions, and I'm always very happy when I've done it. And yeah.
Okay, so do you see this also as part of your art practice and your curatorial studies?
Yeah. So okay, maybe I answer the art practice part first. As I mentioned just now, like, you know, I'm a self-publisher, so I've done that. And just nice, I also scroll back down, right? Then okay, I can show you, like, actually this is my artwork. It's an installation that I did in 2018. Yes. So I was
Can
doing
we look at it again? Can we look at it
I
again?
was let me go in a lot. Yeah.
Is that? Can you talk a bit
So
more?
this yeah, so this is an installation work that was installed in the school that I was graduating from. It was Living Art School, because then I have to talk about, like, you know, how I quit my job, then I go to art school. That's why I'm in art school so late. But yeah,
No.
so that's my backstory. My grandmother long story, which is so I was working, and then I self-publish and I write, and then I'm like, yeah, I think I want to do visual arts. So then, like, okay, let's quit my job and then go to art school. And then I go to art school. Then Notions was actually taught about in the middle of my studies in art school. And actually it's a bit relevant lah, because like when I was in art school, you know, in art school, then you think about, say, like people, I mean, different people will tell you about different things about art, like you need to package yourself properly, or you need to, like, what's on trend, or what is this, what is that, you know, like. Then suddenly art gets very burdened, you see. And that's one reason why at that time it was very liberating, and it still is very liberating at this time, like, to create Notions, because sometimes art is very burdened by art history lah, like what is on point, what is pertinent lah, relevance lah, you know. Actually it's just an idea, it's just fun, just do it, you know, don't think so much. I mean, think lah, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So I digress. And so actually for my final project, graduating from art school, it was actually a whole series based on a paper boat. Okay, because I felt that, like, leaving a harbor, maybe, so to speak, a boat is leaving the safe harbor, and then it's meant for wandering around, you see. So there's a whole series of works that got to do with paper boat. And in my other practice, I mean, I do other, I mean, works of other medium as well. And then a lot of it is on Chinese ink. And these boats are actually made of Chinese ink, or you call it rice paper, right? Yeah. And it's actually a community artwork. And I cut out like pieces of just this paper, plain paper, I mean rice paper, and then I ask people the question, where are you going? Where have you been? Okay. And then they will write down on the rice paper where you go, like their answer lah to that. And then it's folded into like paper boats and installed on this, like, it's basically kind of like a reed kind of thing. I don't have a picture ready to show you, but basically they are sort of like, you know, grass reeds stuck into a pot. And so these are basically responses. All these quotes you see, right, have response from people, their answer on where they're going and where they have been. And these responses were collected at this venue. So in a way, the idea was like, I mean, for this work, right, the idea is like, you know, like all these people have been here before and they have gone somewhere else already. Yeah. So like, where are they going next? So that was also like my kind of question about like graduating from an art school where so many people have graduated from, right? Like yeah, like where where did they go? I also don't know. But so that was like anyway in an expression of so to speak my research question back then lah. Yeah, at that point in time. Yeah, where are you going? Where have you been? And so in that way, notions, as just now I mentioned about how it's become a platform where it can kind of like stand on its own, and also it can also pose a research question, collect some answers out there, and in a way it kind of also converged with my artistic practice, not in the sense that I purposely draw up this grand plan or 2018 what is my research question, 2019 no it's not like that, but it's rather that like I think my works are all honest expression of like what I'm thinking about at any one time, and I guess I'm the same person, so there's that kind of maybe consistency that therefore it looks like that it goes across my works. Yeah, and you asked me just now about like curatorial practice, and I thought that was quite funny because my curatorial studies. So like because I've never thought so far when I did the first issue of Notions, and I didn't really think that like being a curator or whatever lah, doesn't matter lah. And then until I'm applying to go to study curatorial studies, and then you're like, hey, like when you're making an application, right? Then you just look at what you've done before and like try to make the best out of it. And then I just submitted it as like my portfolio. Then okay, curatorial. Like
that's interesting.
Yeah, like I mean, so in that sense, it's relevant now. So like last year, I initiated another project called Interdependent Studies, where basically people just come and study together, like individuals studying together, and it was an experimental community. I don't know lah, slash like generally I think when I think of a project, I don't think of it in terms of what form does it fit in, but when I'm describing it to different people, then I will just pull whatever form applies, right? It's basically a group of people studying together, and then you can study what you want, and it's very free, and you're not obligated to do anything. Like you guys are more than welcome to join. It's just basically a WhatsApp group that we share ideas or not. Yeah, so that was last year, and then people who have been involved in both Notions and then also in interdependent studies would kind of tend to say that there are some fundamentally same ideas to this, and some fundamentally similar ideas behind these projects lah. Basically, the idea of connecting, but yet retaining your own individuality. Yeah, and I'm also doing this other project, group of friends. Like it's called Better Late Than Never, because I don't know. I don't remember if it's actually related to Notions 3 being so late. I don't think so, but there's also that refrain, right? Better late than never. That is a project, or maybe easier known as the Banana Show. That a group of friends, then it just came about like say like, hey, let's do a show together, like an exhibition together, and what kind of exhibition, what shall we do? And it's the same idea that like art doesn't need to be so burdened, and you have to let's just make something. And then we had to choose an arbitrary point of departure, and then we debated about like what then, like okay, let's go back to still life, and then like still life draw fruit flower very expensive, fruit, okay, draw fruit, then what fruit? Then I'm like, yeah, let's draw a fruit that is at least it's tropical lah, because apple Apple, Singapore don't have apple, right? Like don't have. Then we just okay banana like, and that's why we are creating an exhibition based on the point of departure of a banana lah. And then it also got procrastinated, and then finally we are getting our act together and we have put out an open call, and to ask people to submit lah. And if you know if we can share the website of the open call, whatever the project, right? The premise of that, right, is quite similar to how Notions is collected also. It's like basically submit an artwork in whichever form, and I'm going to curate it. I don't know. I mean, not just me. In fact, this project we're also asking people to come on board to join the curatorial team. So it's not just like because it's not just about my opinion, right? It's about everybody's opinion, and everybody can help to sort of like bridge how artwork can be interpreted and so on. So I hope by now you can see how there's that similarity between that project and also how Notions is organized. And to be honest, like I don't really like sit back and think like, what are my principles about like be liberal or be like I don't have these guidelines like written on the wall on a poster or something. I don't have that. But it's just that I guess because I'm the same person who's doing that project, and then maybe my same values and the same ideas that I have, or some habits that I have, then it just gets transferred naturally. And that's why I think the banana show, Better Late Than Never, will be interesting, because there would be people coming on board also on the curatorial team, so it wouldn't be just me. So I do hope that like from projects to projects, there's actually some kind of development. This development are actually not really planned, but it's just that it's just that we're boring to do the same things over and over again, and there's always things to learn from before. In terms of how Notions is placed in my artistic practice or my curatorial practice, it's just something I do, and because I'm the same person, it's just it just comes together, and I'm grateful for that lah. There's a pattern in my madness.
Okay. Yeah. So do you actually see yourself, like, I mean, your zine as part of a larger zine projects in Singapore or in history and globally?
No, I actually don't think about that. I think I don't make an artwork and think like, how does it contribute to art history or what. I don't think about that in that sense. But on that note, it was quite interesting. Maybe I can just share the negative part of like doing such a lo-fi zine, right? There was, I think a book fair or something, then where they're collecting zines, right? And then I think I submitted mine, and then I wasn't at the book fair, or was I? I don't remember exactly. I'll try it. Anyway, so when Notion is put next to the other zines in Singapore, then it really looks very casual. To be honest, yeah.
Okay.
Because other zines are pretty like less casual lah. Like
in what sense?
properly,
the design or?
It's properly bounded and all. So so I wonder, like I mean, that's the part about acting, or not acting lah, of being casual, right? Is like maybe people don't take you that seriously as well. And in fact, that's an interesting response that I get from Notions before, Like I give people the Notions, right? Hey, this is it. Then I get feedback like, you should at least trim away the white part. Then then that's interesting also for me because it's like a research process, right? Then I'll be like, oh, you think so? Then like, wow, you don't get it. Like, that's my take lah. But their take is that like 太随便了, like you too anyhow already.
But
you know?
isn't Zine supposed to be? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, different folks, different strokes for different folks, right? So then there are also people who like pick it up and then be like, oh, like wait, let me show you the page. Like these are just like some charcoal still life, which ironically is banana, but I don't know why. Yeah. So like you see, it's just the same themes that just comes out from my subconscious, like whatever. Or it's because I always have bananas at home to draw or what, I don't know. Anyway, so actually this is my work, and it's actually charcoal drawing from where I was at school that time, right? Then must do the still life. Then I purposely put it in, and then I know that it's going to be photocopied and all that. So I just wanted to see how it's going to look like. So I did pass it to somebody else, and then who's just flipping through, and then actually one of my teachers lah, and then his response was, 这样还是不错，蛮好看的，这样 you know. So you get one person in the same conversation saying that, and then one person saying that you should trim the white part.
Okay, so we are now at the Q&A session. Okay, so anybody got questions for Ju-Lyn? Please continue.
I got a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I want to ask, when will be the next Notion for coming up, the next open call?
Right. I don't know. I think when I finished it last year, then I was like, wow, I'm glad that my 1 year's worth of procrastination, right? I finally closed the window in my head. In my mind, right? You know, it's like you open on your computer, you have a lot of programs running, right? Then I finally closed that thing which has been open for 1 year, that tab, right? So I closed it. Then although even before you asked me, although a few days ago I did think like, I a bit do miss doing motions lah. So I don't know when, but I hope that when I do the next one, it wouldn't have to like, you know, between the open call and it doesn't have to be so long in between. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I got actually a series of questions that I wrote, so it would be kind of windy. The first one is, you mentioned earlier on that you have this list of submission details, right? And then you were like, yeah, but like nobody ever reads them anyway. So in retrospect, of course, the reason why you would say that is because you must have received something that that gives you an example that nobody ever reads, right? So maybe you can share a little bit about what are there, and then if there are, what are some of the examples? How atrocious was it? And then what do? Do you follow up, like contact them and ask them, hey, do you want to edit? Or do you just like, okay, you did not read the admission details, so you like, so how do you go about it?
Okay, so I must qualify that just now when I said maybe I exaggerate. I think some people read it. Actually, I'm very grateful that one of the people who respond regularly is this Kozue. Just now I showed you the Japanese artist, right? Like, I mean, the one with the chrysanthemum artwork. So she actually reads the open call and all the submission details, and she actually told me that she appreciates it, and she appreciates how actually the open call and the whole notions and all that, right, is basically the artwork, you know, like the submission details, the format, you know, it being like you can print it from anywhere in the world and all that. This is actually part of the artwork, even the open call and all that, you see. So I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful that, you know, that's like, at least she reads it lah, and she got it. And so I must apologize for just now like that nobody reads, but yeah, so yeah, she actually reads and appreciate it. So I want to show her artwork again. Yeah. So this is her submission for the water issue. Yeah. So she actually has this like hiragana Japanese words, right? That she laminated and she cut out. And then because of the open call, she had this, which is water. And so it's actually a photo of all these characters cut out and laminated, put into a petri dish, and then she poured water on it.
Okay.
So it's actually a photo, and this artwork is actually, I mean, I think she told me, like, I mean, it's part of whatever she was doing. You know, she was creating a series of works or something, and like she had this idea to do it because she was responding to the open call, you see. So yeah, like I really like this work as well. So I just want to share with you, and also apologize for what I said just now. So yeah,
I mean,
but in terms of back to your question, like in terms of whether people do read and like how atrocious it is, actually not that atrocious, nor is it. It's just that I'm aware that the open call I spoke through just now, right? It's very wordy, what? Yeah, like I can share screen again. So like besides that one, right, there's actually another long write-up, I think. I have another long write-up about like actually what this interview is about. What is Notion? What is it about? The plan for Notion, the timing, distribution, why do I do Zine, what are Zines for, my definition of Zine, blah blah blah. Like, I'm not sure if
the write-out is something. The write-out is one thing, but I mean to get the feedback is really from the submission, isn't it? So when people submit, you get the feedback of whether they actually paid attention to what you have.
So people may not put in this entry form lah. Most people don't provide the entry form. So name, contact, you know, about you, about the work. About the work is really more for me to interpret the work better. You know, like, so make sure that like I get it lah. I want to get the work, right? Because I'm putting it somewhere. Then yeah. So it also helps me organize the submissions that comes in and all that. Then atrocious wise.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in again. So you mentioned that about you. Okay. Can we go back to your share screen again?
You want it?
I think it's very interesting when you say the about you and about the work part, right? It's just for you to sort of know, then you can better curate the submission and all. So you won't there isn't a place to actually shares the idea of the work about this information. Like basically people are offering you this information that is not being shared in the actual publication, right? Correct?
Yes,
okay.
correct.
Okay.
So because I didn't ask for rights to share this information as well. Yeah, but I do just tag Instagram and all that lah. Which I guess if they don't want me to tag, then they'll be like, "Don't tag me, please." Then I'll untag lor. But yeah, so that's that. And then
okay.
That's what it is. I don't share this information so much. I do share, like, if they review like the names and for where are you going, where have you been, right? And one, right, like I will share where they are from, you know, but because it's relevant to the concept, where are you going, where have you been, right? Like the idea of where are they, it kind of like makes it interesting, right, to me lah. So then I just share where they are from lor.
And then previous one you didn't?
I think I didn't, yeah. And I remember as we were on a break, right? So I remember why issue 3, right, is this topic. where are you going, where have you been? Because at the end of issue 2, right, one discussion I had with some of the submitters who helped to distribute the zine to overseas, right? Then we will have this conversation like that. You know, even though this is a humble zine, so actually I wrote some things about it behind. That even though it's a humble zine, right, it actually travels to different places. Like just now I mentioned, I think like it goes to different places in the world. So Notions has also the idea of like where is it going? Where is this stack of paper going? Where has it been? You know, like yeah. So this is the website, right? Then people can just download, and if you download it, you will see the version, right? There is a print version. You will
it's colored.
Let me show you the how it looks like. Okay, this is the colored one which I print out. Then it's actually, this is the thing that I upload. So you actually cannot read the zine like this because it's arranged for it to be printed and folded. You know what I mean? As in like, because that's how the printer works, what?
Yeah.
You cannot really flip the page. Yeah. So you see like this artwork is split in this way because when it's folded, then it makes sense lah. What I'm saying is that like this is one piece of paper, you know, like and so on. You guys get it lah, right?
It's a learning curve. It's really a learning curve because I printed it as a A3 as before I noticed.
So you must do it wrongly, then you know how to, But that's why if you do it in InDesign, right, they actually have the export to a print version. Yeah, so that's how it works lah. Only the centerfold is on one piece. Like only the centerfold is on one piece of paper. Like the rest are actually split up on like 2 pieces of paper.
So do people get to print it in color or not when they go onto your website to download?
I forget which one I uploaded. I'm sorry, but maybe I uploaded the color one. But I think, oh no, maybe I uploaded the grayscale one because I only promised that. I mean, the open call was for grayscale artwork, It's meant for grayscale. Then in a way, it's to be fair. In issue 1 and 2, what I enjoyed doing, right, was, let me stop share. What I enjoyed doing was like to change the orientation of the artworks. So like for instance, this one, right, you read it this way, and then you come here, you got to change the orientation a bit, right? Because it flows this way and that way. And then you flip again, right? Then for this artwork, you actually got to turn it all the way around so that you can read the poem. But it's a bit like pouring the ketchup, right? So like I enjoy doing this lah. So that when you're actually reading a physical book, you're gonna have to keep turning it around and all that, which is something you cannot do it in soft copy. So I did this with a submission in issue 3. And then I got the feedback that like from the artist was like, do you put my artwork the wrong way around? And then I think I did it on purpose, but then again, it kind of does make sense that people may think that her artwork was supposed to be in, you know, in that orientation and all these kind of things. Then I think I think artists should have, you know, like I just then defer to her view lah, his or her view, like that, you know, it should be in that manner. So then I did it wrong. So this is just some of the one incident of like what that was like.
This brings me to the next point, which I noted just now when you said the sense of collective consciousness and curation actually was a very fine balance between giving control and being in control, isn't it? As you're sharing that story, right? So initially, when you're talking about Notion being liberating, about the fact that it is this collection of ideas, or rather, not just a collection, but it is a celebration of ideas, of this very intuitive outburst, I suppose, and taking action from this outburst of ideas. Right? It's not just like, oh, talk already then 算了, right? Oh, excuse me. Talk already, like having that conversation and it's all gone in the wind. It's basically the idea that you want to collect them and collate them. Yeah, so between being liberating and having to take control, right? So you just shared that you had that bit of struggle, or not struggle actually. You didn't have a struggle actually. It came quite intuitively as well. It came quite naturally. You did what you think you need to do as a curator of Notion, and then your participant or collaborator came back to feedback lah. Yeah. So how often did you have to kind of negotiate that kind of boundary, and how was it like for you? Did you think about it as negotiating or boundary, or did you kind of like, that's true too, it's just kind of another perspective, it's another lesson learned per se?
I think it's more of a latter, like when you are mentioning it being a negotiation of boundaries, or that I think I didn't worry so much about that. I didn't even, I didn't frame it in that way, the first way as you mentioned, but more the second way that like, that makes sense. And I think like as a curator vision, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm not quite used to calling myself that, but I guess that's what I was doing. And I do respect the intention of the artist and the artwork lah, and I believe that if that were, as in like I believe that if the artwork is meant to be viewed in that way and if that's important, it should take precedence over my interpretation. Okay, but I think for me, I didn't interpret reading the book this way as a wrong way. That's my view. But like her or his pointing out to me made me remember that yes, some people may think that doing it this way is a wrong way, because all my previous issues, you also have to keep doing this in relevance to I think what you mentioned earlier in your question about freedom, liberation, and also power. I think that's really just two sides of the same coin, isn't it? But I've never really thought about it in that way until you just mentioned it. But indeed it is so, like, to have freedom is when I have the power to exercise within my own means, right? Yeah, I mean that goes for everything. Financial freedom is that, and I have freedom at home because I can do whatever I want at home because I have the power to do, I have the jurisdiction to do that. So that's an interesting way. It is an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, about like why we do independent projects. I think all of us do independent projects, right? But we enjoy that freedom, freedom to choose whatever paper I want, freedom to not trim away the white border if I don't want to, freedom to put this artwork ahead of the artwork, this way or that way. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. It wasn't exactly a question. It kind of helped to illuminate really this fine balance between freedom and control within this relationship or this ecosystem.
Indeed. And I think just now when I say it was very liberating, or like say it's a celebration of ideas and all that, what's liberating about Notions consistently across the three issues, right? It's always when it's done, and when it's done, you just feel like actually it was not that difficult to do, and that you can just, I think I really enjoy how like the artwork is like from one person's head, because it is from Dusham's creative act, which is something that guides me along my different practice. So this artwork was something that was in this artist's head, and he transferred it onto paper, and then he did whatever, and then he sent it over to Notions, and then Notions put it together with other artwork, and then I share it with whoever out there, and then now it's in your head. And I think that is that's the thing that makes me happy, and it is actually as simple as that, and therefore that is the liberating part, I feel. Like, it doesn't have to be like this artwork, then you need to do it into a sculpture and then take 300 pictures and then also installation view and then propose it to a gallery who will then want to ship it over, and then you got to write your CV, and then and then make sure you got the right lighting and install it in the gallery, and then have an opening and then ask people to come and then wear nicely, and then as compared to that, you see.
I've picked up quite a few things that I thought was really profound in your sharing.
I'm so glad.
Okay, so I share from the beginning of the notes that I've taken, right? Is the fact that you said firstly you were a bookmaker. So I had this question mark. Why bookmaker? What is a bookmaker? How is that different from a producer, publisher, curator, and yeah, what is a bookmaker?
Yeah, actually, I don't know why I thought of that term, to be honest. But I think like when I'm doing a book, okay, publisher, or at least to me lah, I mean, so I use that term quite loosely, but I just share with you what I think is different about making a book as an artwork or what, right? So I didn't think of it as an artwork back when I was doing this book, but just to share that, say, the choices of the font, the space in between, the font size, okay, and then like say there is these little elements, right? You know, these little elements, whether it's italicized, where is the page number, what is the feel, how does the paper feel, you know, it's obviously in a like not the commercial type of paper exactly, right? How to choose the paper, how to typeset and all that. Yeah, lor, there's care. You see, and it is.
You're using the craft person's term to talk about this.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I just anyhow use the term bookmaker. Like, my point is that it is a book. You see,
Okay.
it
And you
is
made them.
as in it is meant to be read as a book, rather than is like if I'm a writer, then it's like, you know, it's just a text, right? But like I made the book, so it was the whole experience, the weight of the book and all that. So I don't know why I use the term bookmaker as a craftsman. I don't know what is the, you know, the meaning of it in the greater sense lah. But I think that kind of also frames how, like, when I'm thinking of making a zine. So I also kind of approach it from a different way as a graphic designer might, because I come from the like I want to make a thing, and then I think of what is the materials I want, the process I want, you know, like I come from that. Like I want to make a I want to make a book, I want to make a zine. I mean, yeah. So zinester lah, so you call it, right? Yeah. So
what is the transition from that to the zine? Well, why did you not continue with that so-called bookmaker format?
the books I made, so there's this one, and then there's also this it's actually a collaboration with Levine. So it's actually a picture book, yeah, about a spider with 7,000 legs. And I wrote the story and she did the lovely illustrations, but it was very collaborative, so we didn't make that distinction very clear. Yeah, so how she brought the character to life. I'm like shamelessly plugging all my works, but yeah. Whatever. so I think along the way, as I mean, I used to write a lot more and exploring literary form, right? That and I realized that my thinking and creative process is actually more similar to visual artists. So I read the biographies of artists, and also attend all those like continuing education classes, you see, and then learn more about how artists think. And at the same time, of course, I've been reading about, or I attend like writers events, and I try to connect with how writers think. And yeah, so I identified more with the artist's creative process, and then that's how I decided to go for visual arts. You see, I went to visual arts school, and then in visual arts school, then you're just doing visual art lah. Just now I show you my still life, right? And all that, yeah. And then it come together for the. I think I also did make some other small art projects lah, like that visual arts as well as a book kind of thing. So Zine, these notions is just one of it. So I have also a flashcard story kind of thing as well. Also a mini book. So
okay.
So
So do you foresee yourself going back from notions back to the bookmaker again?
Yeah, I even more so now that like I see that usually I have this like I have an idea of something I want to do, and then maybe that idea will inform which form it will take. So like even my say like this idea that I have to do, I don't start off with the form. Some people do that. Like some people are like, okay, I want to make a painting. Then what should I put inside? So I don't think of that way. So it's more of like the concept will inform of which form it will take. So I don't write as much as I used to. So I don't know whether it will take a form of the same. Yeah, but things happen quite organically. So like maybe I meet somebody who was like, I really like one of your stories, let's make it into a book. Now yeah, like okay, let's do it. Like I mean, yeah. And also to be honest, actually books are quite expensive to make. Yeah. So I think sometimes like yeah. So I mean to be realistic lah, resources is also a reason as well. Yeah. So never say never lah. I hope yeah. And even in my visual arts, I also still do a lot of writing that is related like to the previous kind of writing. It's just writings in visual arts form. Yeah. So that is still very active. These are still very active elements in whichever form the artwork eventually takes.
Firstly, I must say, I picked that up where you said art got very burdened by institution. Rephrasing it, art got very burdened by institution. That was something that you mentioned, and that's very true. That's very true, because at the end of the day, then it came down to it was almost as if that same question that was asked of art. What is art, right? Is asked of Zine. What is Zine? Because something you mentioned, I'm sorry, that kind of had to push you to define, made some sort of definition to Zine. Just now you were talking about something, which I thought tied in very much to you walking through that question of does a Zine has to be like that? Oh, the border and the charcoal piece of the banana, right? Which I thought was very poignant to say that art attempt to kind of take over or institutionalize the concept of art. Sometimes attempt to take over some of this. So liberation also comes here, I think, when you shared about that idea. I'm going to also talk about collectivism. I think from your very initial idea, celebration of ideas, and then the opening up to collect the celebration of ideas, and then your continuous action to IS, Independent Studies, the group that you have right now, really comes back to the idea of information sharing and idea sharing. You started off with information dissemination.
Joey was sharing something about like an institution and how like maybe notions challenging institutions, and then I have a response to that, which is actually maybe quite important about, which is also relevant to what Xiaoyun asked, if I would do a book again and so on. So why a zine in the first place? So actually for me, a zine is a bit anti-institutional, right? It's a bit anti-establishment and all that. And I forgot one thing that I to mention. One thing I did with Notions 1 and 2 was that actually in the zine, right, but you'll see names of like established artists in there, because I will appropriate the artwork. So like there's artwork inside here, amongst here, right, that has maybe like Ai Weiwei or some other artists lah. And the question is, the challenge is to give this to people. Now, but they think inside got Ai Weiwei. Now, but can you find who is Ai Weiwei? Which one is the famous work lah? Work by a famous artist. Then actually it's not much, but it's a picture of his exhibition at the background here that I took. It's actually one of his works. But the fact is, when you propose it, challenge it to the audience, right, to find out, they won't find it. They may not know it, you see. And the point is that like maybe this work who is by not even an artist just did this work, right? Like how is it different from a famous artist's work? Like, you know, an idea is an idea, right? Maybe an idea is as good as anybody's idea. So like in essence, also like this is a picture taken of Surah, everybody know, right? The famous pointillism kind of work, right? And then like so like you ask people, like inside got you know, people from art history inside the work there. Then they ask them, do you know, is this that work or is it this work? Like so in essence, so why zine? There's a bit of like anti-establishedness in it, right? And anti-establishmentness in it. So the form actually is informed by the concept lah. Then when you talk about like challenging institution, and then in Notions 3, they actually I stopped doing it really. Why? Because I realized that if our artwork, if I believe in it, that like an idea is an idea, maybe doesn't have to come from a famous artist. Then a famous artist is also okay, what? Like I mean, I already made that point with issue 1 and 2. Time to move on lah. Then just going to make other points now. So I mean, I'm also not really dedicated to like being overthrowing institutions or like whatever it is. I don't make it my thing, you know. I don't. So but it's just that you know, we have power in our own home, then we just like have our own fun within our own premises. So it's more from that rather than issuing a formal challenge. So if Ai Weiwei, you're watching this video, hi, like, thanks. If
At
right,
Ai Weiwei. Okay.
Hi. I'll be like, but I mean, lor, that's what it's like. It's like if we get complaints, if I get complaints, then sorry then I'll remove it.
Yeah, that would be like part of the whole what zine culture is about. I also feel,
right?
Yeah,
right. Just stick and use. That's part of freedom. It's an idea and it's just put out there, So that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more comments or questions?
Well, I just want to not question, but I guess I just want to share some of my gathering of my thoughts of your sharing. Okay, so firstly, I feel like Notion is an art. Notion, the Zine that is initiated by you, Ju-Lyn, is an art. And you shared about that when someone said to you, you shared about the fact that one of your collaborators shared with you about the fact that it is an art. And I want to just reinforce that idea that it is an art. It is your idea pilgrimage. It feels like that. It is a pilgrimage for yourself as the co-founder, I feel. Sorry, co-founder, the founder of Notion. Co-founder because you said that you came upon this. You've been sharing ideas, and this celebration of ideas is really this getting your all these ideas together and to really realize them. And so I feel like that brings me to the point of like empowering the non-tangible, which is ideas. Which then brings me to the point of materialization of an idea. Very powerful, maybe a non-conscious way to counter the establishment or counter the institution, where you need to have the idea needs to be supported by a materialization of the idea, whether or not in text, words, in text, in articulation, in some sort of formal dressed up, right? So I think it's very powerful. Your action of Notion is very powerful for the non-tangible, and it is also very powerful then to say that you give a thing to this non-thing, right? It's almost like a questioning, and once again, this is where I will use the word challenging. I actually didn't think about challenging the institution, but since you brought it up, I thought this is where I would actually use the idea of challenging the institution of the thinginess of a thing, the artwork. The artwork does not have to be a thing, the materialization. It can be the idea, the non-materialization. And then the fact that it exists on, it can exist as a physical thing, a printed copy, or it can exist as a digital form, or it cannot exist. It can be a non-being in the cloud space. Now that we are in big data, so and therefore this whole idea is very powerful. And then the third thing that I thought of was I was very heartened by your in your entire talk was the essence of collectivism was very pronounced. So you started off with saying the Notions is a celebration of ideas, like where people come together and then we like, okay, better late than never, right? Like just put it together and let it be there. At least it's there, then we won't forget. It's almost like a collective sketchbook. And then as you go along, right, then I noticed that in fact, when you come to IS, when you come to the better late than never, i.e. Banana Project, it's really coming back to the idea of ideas and information sharing. So having this group to be able to explore together. But also, having said that, right, okay, collectivism, okay, AC is also a collective. So I'm saying this on account of like, also asking ourselves the question. The idea of collectivism is also, is not entirely always altruistic, right? Is the idea that it is a open source mood board, right? When you put it all together, when I was just looking through the things that you're sharing, right? Initially you shared a mood board. When you collect back, you have multiple mood board, which then adds on to the thing that you say, I have one idea. So I share my idea with you. Then we each have two ideas. So that's essentially what it is. It may not be entirely altruistic, but it is efficient. It's more efficient than, never mind, forget that part. card. Sorry, Xiaoyun.
Okay. No, it's okay.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my
just
conclusion of what I got from
yeah.
the talk. But yes.
So I really appreciate your conclusion. Just like to clarify about the collectivism part. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm really big on collectivism, but I think what's a bit different about collectivism and what I do, right? It's like people have the idea that collectivism means everybody do the same thing, that there is that like everybody conforms. But I think what's important to me as well is like everybody comes together and do your thing differently. So that's yeah. So I don't mean not to bring politics into it. Like collectivism sometimes reminds people of like the communists, or like like everybody wear the same uniform and all that. So yeah, like I mean yeah. So
Thank you for clarifying. No,
Yeah.
not at all. I mean, totally not mean that. I don't totally don't mean that
I know
at
you
all.
don't mean that, but I just want to like highlight that because there are people who, I mean, the traditional East and West debate, right? Then people always say like, oh, your collectivist society always very what. Then I want to say that, we can do different things together, you see, and we can like, be stronger together in that sense lah. Yeah. So I think individuality is very important as well as collectivism. It's just two sides to the same coin again. And that's one thing. And then the other thing which you share, which means a lot to me, what you said about these ideas and form the ideas, because I was just sharing actually with Kozue, the Japanese who contributed, that like I think as artists or creatives, like my job is to give form to ideas, and that's it. I think the ideas come from the universe or somewhere, and the idea is actually I'm not the only person who speak of it this way. Like there are writers who talk about like ideas belonging into the universe, and then it just happens to rest on our shoulders or on our heads for a while, and then we just take it and then we actualize it in one way or another. And like interdependent studies, like I mean, I'm so glad that you got it lah. That the artwork doesn't have to be a tangible thing as well. Like can be a group of people. That collective can be what it is. So yeah. So let's just do things together and enjoy ourselves, make the world a better place, and then all these grand romantic statements that we can believe in our own individual and independent way, I think. Yeah.
Okay, lastly, Ju-Lyn, do you have anything to say to encourage people who would like to make zines?
Oh, just me yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really good. If you got any questions, you can ask around. You can ask me also. What if you want to make anything.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a few good books out there. Yeah. So just me.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. I think we'll come to the end.
So much for having me. Sorry if it's very long, but yeah, I'm glad for the opportunity, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.